The non-belief is incoherent omnibus. Number 21. The argument from intuition. Premise 1. It is possible for a subject to automatically, instantaneously, and involuntarily intuit the truth values of propositions. Premise 2. It is possible for subjects to act on these intuitions. Premise 3. Belief informs willful action. Conclusion. Intuitions are a form of belief. Conclusion 2. The formation of belief may be inevitable. Conclusion 3. Genuine absence of belief may be unattainable.
A formal refutation of the argument from intuition. The argument from intuition attempts to establish that intuitions are a form of belief and that the formation of belief may be inevitable, thereby making genuine non-belief unattainable. This argument is flawed in multiple respects, particularly in its use of thinking, fast and slow by Daniel Kahneman, which it cites in support but which actually contradicts its key claims. Clarifying Premise 1, the role of System 1 and System 2. The first premise claims that one can automatically, instantaneously, and involuntarily intuit the truth values of propositions. However, Kahneman's framework in thinking, fast and slow, does not support this claim. Kahneman distinguishes between System 1, which produces fast, intuitive impressions, and System 2, which engages in slower, deliberate reasoning. While System 1 may generate a feeling of truth or falsity regarding a proposition, this is not equivalent to a judgment of truth value in a logical sense. Kahneman's framework separates intuition from belief. Characteristics of System 1. Generates impressions, feelings, and inclinations, when endorsed by System 2 become beliefs, attitudes, and intentions. This distinction undermines the argument by demonstrating that while intuitions arise automatically, they do not immediately translate into beliefs. System 2 can intervene to suspend, question, or override an intuition, meaning that intuitions are neither necessarily true nor necessarily believed. A classic example of this interplay is the bat and ball problem. The problem states a bat and a ball together cost $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Most people intuitively answer 10 cents because that is the immediate response generated by System 1. However, this answer is incorrect. If the ball costs 10 cents, then the total cost would be $1.20, $1.10 for the bat plus 10 cents for the ball. Given time to reflect, System 2 engages and correctly calculates that the ball must cost 5 cents, and the bat $1.05. This example demonstrates that initial intuitions are often mistaken and require validation by System 2 before forming a belief. Understand that the initial answer of 10 cents is not a belief, but an impression that can be rejected. If all intuitions were beliefs, then people would believe the wrong answer before correcting it, but that's not how Kahneman presents it. Thinking is not the same as believing. Kahneman's work explicitly states that System 2 can suspend an intuition by refusing to accept it as a belief, question an intuition by analyzing its validity, override an intuition by replacing it with a more reasoned judgment. Reconciling premises 2 and 3. Premise 2 states that people can act on intuitions, while Premise 3 states that belief informs willful action. This creates tension within the argument. If willful action requires belief, and willful action involves System 2 processing, then intuition-driven actions, which are often automatic, are excluded. The argument seems to suggest, if people act on intuitions, and belief informs action, then intuitions must be beliefs. But this is a false equivalence. Acting on an intuition does not mean it is a belief. People act on reflex, habits, and instincts, none of which necessarily involve belief. For example, when I see a fly ball coming toward me, I don't consciously calculate its trajectory. Instead, I intuit where it will land and start running. My decision to chase the ball may be influenced by my belief that catching it helps my team, but the actual mechanics of running, positioning, and reaching out to grab the ball are guided by intuition. When I stretch out my glove and feel the ball land securely, I intuit that I have caught it. I didn't consciously reason through each step, I simply acted on intuition. Why the argument's conclusion fails. The conclusion intuitions are a form of belief does not follow from the premises. The argument would need to show that intuitions necessarily take the form of belief, but Kahneman's model explicitly separates intuition, System 1, from belief, System 2's endorsement of an intuition. Since C2 depends on C1, and C1 is at best unproven and at worst false, C2 is unsupported. C3, which follows from C2, collapses along with it. The argument from intuition fails on multiple fronts. It misrepresents Kahneman's work, which explicitly separates intuition from belief. It creates an unjustified equivalence between acting on intuition and belief-informed action. Its conclusions, C1, C2, C3, collapse once the mistaken identification of intuition with belief is corrected. Kahneman's framework demonstrates that belief is neither automatic nor inevitable, but subject to cognitive regulation. On the contrary, his research provides a clear framework for how beliefs can be withheld, questioned, and revised, directly refuting the argument's final conclusion that non-belief may be unattainable. Potential counter-arguments. Automatic acceptance. An argument could suggest that System 2 often defaults to accepting System 1's intuitions, making belief formation effectively automatic. Refutation. Even if System 2 often accepts intuitions, it does not necessarily do so. The very fact that System 2 can intervene to suspend or override an intuition disproves the claim that intuition is equivalent to belief. The argument requires necessity, not just frequency. Implicit versus explicit belief. An argument might claim that while System 2 forms explicit beliefs, System 1 forms implicit beliefs that do not require conscious endorsement. Refutation. This is a semantic move rather than a substantive argument. If implicit beliefs are just impressions, then they are not beliefs in the usual epistemic sense. Kahneman's framework does not describe System 1 as forming any beliefs, only generating impressions and inclinations.